What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to another video. We have a few news stories to talk about in the NASCAR world. Let's just jump straight into it. So, the first thing we are going to talk about is from Saturday Night Thunder. So, to start off, I thought Saturday Night Thunder was honestly a really good event and a great way to introduce that series because, unfortunately, they decided to, cut that do two races. Well, fortunately, not unfortunately. They decided to do two separate races. You had the Esports Pro Invitational Series yesterday, and Saturday, for the first time, they ran Saturday Night Thunder at Bristol Motor Speedway. Logan Seavey ended up winning the race. It was pretty much a wreck fest. There were tons of wrecks that happened in the event. It wasn't like the Esports Pro Invitational race that took place, but there still ended up being quite a few wrecks. One of the dominant cars in the race, which Blake Cook honestly looked like at one point he had the best car in this event. He unfortunately ended up getting a couple wrecks, if I'm not mistaken. He did, however, end up coming up and finishing in 8th place. The race would end up coming down to a three-man horse race between Chase Cabry, Logan Seavey, and Alex LeBay, who to me looked like he had the best car because he also had the freshest tires of the three drivers. With around 11 laps to go in the race, Logan Seavey was able to go on and pass Chase Cabry, and he's able to hold off Chase Cabry, who he was actually kind of, even though he had really old tires, he was starting to catch him, and he was able to hold off Chase Cabry for the win in the first ever Saturday Night Thunder event. Congrats, Logan Seavey, on winning, and a guy that I think is honestly underrated in the racing world, and a guy we're going to be watching once we do go back to regular racing, because he's a guy that I've had my eyes on for the last years. Ever since that truck race he ran at Eldora, I've had my eyes on this guy and someone that we're going to need to watch as we continue to see him race. Now to the next story, and a story that some people aren't talking about, but I wanted to get into. President Trump has talked to sports executives about possible timetable of returning. The people that were in this call were Steve Phelps, president of NASCAR, Gary Bettman, commissioner of the NHL, Roger Goodell, commissioner of the NFL, Rob Manfred, the commissioner of the MLB, Roger Benske's IndyCar's president and owner, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, among others, including Vince McMahon, Dana White, and other people that were in this call. What was discussed was that Trump hopes to have fans back in stadiums and arenas around August and September. I cannot speak, apparently. Though it is unclear if medical experts find that to be a realistic timeline amid the current coronavirus pandemic. As it is mentioned there, they're wanting to get back in the stands on August or September. I could see that really being a realistic possibility because this COVID-19 stuff, we don't know when this stuff is going to end. This virus there's like 340,000 cases of this stuff currently at the moment. And while it's slowed down a little bit, it's still seeing a lot of infections taking place. What I'm hoping and praying with this whole COVID stuff is as the weather does get to warm up, it's like the flu, hopefully, we'll see a decrease in the infections across the globe, and we'll start to see things kind of get back to normal. The likelihood, though, of us returning in May, like some people are projecting, with fans back in the stands, unlikely. No way, any shape or form, we're going to be seeing any sort of stuff back. But my thoughts on the situation is I am glad that there is some thought of even returning this year. There have been talks about the NBA possibly canceling their season. It's probably going to happen. The MLB is being rumored to cancel their entire season. I've heard those rumors going around. NASCAR, we don't know when they're going to be returning because it's now possibly unlikely that we're going to be racing even for the Coke 600 because now the Detroit race, because of the spike of cases there, that race is expected to be canceled as early as today. So we don't really know when racing or any sports are going to be returning and for people to go. But I do expect sports to get back going even before this August or September mark. But they'll have no fans in like their stadiums or their arenas or stands in general. Because in all seriousness, I really don't know when we are going to be returning to racing here in NASCAR. Why is this important? Because Steve Phelps is at the call. It's pretty important that we hear what Trump wants, maybe the timetable when he wants us to bring fans back to the stands. Because a lot of these stadiums and arenas and these sports, they're losing a lot of money because they're not playing their games or they're not doing their events. You look at NASCAR. NASCAR is going to lose, has already lost quite a bit of money, and we're going to see some repercussions here in the future, which we will discuss about here in a second. But I hope we can. But like I said, I'm hoping we can return back to some form of racing or some form of sports for fans to go to here very soon. I'm really hoping that does take place here in the near future. So it's good that Trump did have a talk with these sports executives. It just sucks that we're still not doing anything, but I understand why we're not going back at the moment. I'm not expecting to be back seeing fans in the stands until around that August or September time. It sucks that long, but it is what it is. If you want, we have to somewhat contain this virus before we can even think about bringing fans back to the stands. So I completely understand why it's going to take some time for us to be returning to sports. Now to the next story. Speaking of which, I just mentioned this. Front Row Motorsports has laid off 73 employees temporarily. Front Row states its sponsorship revenue has been deferred, so they are not making any sponsorship currently at the moment, which means that they're not going to get any sponsorship until we return to racing in a shape or form. So here are the amount of people who has been laid off. 29 mechanics, 24 fabricators, 6 engineers, 5 in marketing, 4 in transportation, 4 in general support, and 1 in administrative. This is one of the repercussions. You're going to be seeing a lot of people temporarily laid off in a lot of areas. In the Penske Corporation, they've temporarily laid off can't remember the numbers. It's like 20% of their workforce has been laid off. So this isn't surprising. We're not surprising at all to see that we're seeing people laid off at companies because teams aren't making money because no one's making money at the moment because, one, sponsorship isn't really coming into play. You're not, even though drivers are getting sponsored in this esports world, you're not seeing the main teams really getting any sponsorship because they're not racing. So when we're not racing, that means no money's really being made at the teams. And they're not making much from marketing and stuff. And this whole situation sucks. And I feel bad for Front Row Motorsports because they are a smaller team. And they're a team that really can't really be out for that much longer because they could be shut down. That's the serious. Well, they're not going to be shut down because they do have the charter system to back them up. But they're going to be hurting. If they would lose a charter, they would probably be shut down. I would not be shocked if any team possibly shuts down through all this because in F1 right now, they're talking about 4 teams in F1 could end up shutting down completely and not being on the racetrack. That's how serious the situation is, guys. That's why I think people need to start taking this stuff seriously because you're having teams shut down now. In the world, this whole world is just a mess. And I'm hoping we do get back to racing soon, like I said. But because of this, it's like I said, Front Row has to lay off 73 points temporarily because those guys aren't making money. So they're going to be getting unemployed stuff, which sucks. But it is what it is. And now, finally, Blue-Emu has dropped Bubba Wallace after the Bristol iRacing event. So, let's just get into the whole backstory. So, I mentioned this yesterday. Bubba basically got in my honest opinion, Bubba kind of got squeezed up the racetrack, and Clint Boyer kind of squeezed him in the outside wall. And then Clint Boyer decides, because he thinks he got involved, to retaliate. Because of this, Bubba ends up rage quitting his Twitch stream pretty much right there. And then Bubba stated this on Twitter, which I'm not going to be able to show the tweet to you guys because he ended up deleting the tweet. But Bubba stated, "That's why I don't take this shit serious. Bye-bye. Peace out." Like I said, Bubba ended up deleting the tweet. Then Blue-Emu decides to say something. They say, "We aren't sponsoring Bubba anymore." Can you imagine if they did that in real life on a track? I think there was another tweet stated that good to know or something around those lines. Basically, Blue-Emu is no longer going to be sponsoring Bubba, which Bubba's antics, I mean, I think both parties here, Blue-Emu and Bubba, are both kind of acting childish here. Yes, Bubba Wallace should not have rage quit a stream, but we know that Bubba's emotions can get the best of him at times, and Bubba can really lose his mind and his sanity at times. And because, he threw water on Alex Bowman at the Roval last year. Bubba has got to start controlling his emotions, but I think Blue-Emu also overreacted in this situation. It's just that both of them overreacted. I don't think anybody's in the right in this situation. I don't think anybody's completely in the wrong in this situation. But I think they're both in the wrong, honestly. But I just think that Blue-Emu just completely overreacted over this. Because Bubba, yeah, he got mad, shouldn't have rage quitted, but Blue-Emu, there was no excuse for the way he acted as well. You guys also should be taking responsibility for the way he acted, and not just how Bubba should be just taking responsibility, like you guys keep trying to say, because that's not just fair to Bubba, and both parties should be held accountable for the actions that they ended up pulling. So yeah, that's really it for the NASCAR news that I wanted to talk about. There hasn't been much going around, but 10 minutes, got a lot of content to talk about in this video. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe to the channel, turn notifications so you can be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Links in the description below for that. And comment your thoughts on today's video. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.